What is this anxiety?
Anxiety is a normal human emotion. It is one of the
And this is more around how do this ADHD and anxiety interact.
so studies show that up to 50% of individuals with ADHD.
But in India, there is a lot of stigma, right? Whenever somebody has any sort of mental wellness issue, they don't open up. They think, okay, people might look at me awkwardly or whatever, right?
That is the stigma part, right?
Yeah.
I self-admitted again hashtag being vulnerable, being hyperactive, and I did not know it. I would continuously be.
So maybe you can emphasize on this long-term psychopathological risks associated with these children.
There are risks, right?
Yeah.
So let's admit that first. They're definitely gifted children will have a higher risk when they're.
So, folks, this is part 4 of the TGV Mental Wellness series where we are discussing some of the less spoken but important topics related to mental health. For example, ADHD, anxiety, depression, and comorbidities with Dr. Sharada Rao. She's a top corporate leader, an author, and an effective altruist in progress. And Dr. Sharda has been a blogger regularly on mental health issues and especially on LinkedIn platform. And here's an early disclaimer, folks. We aim to increase awareness, and there is no offense meant to anyone globally. And this is just to share empathy on how to overcome this condition. And we hope this helps make a difference to many people's lives. And it is staggering to know that there are over 970 million people across the globe who are going to some or the other mental wellness issues. And this is our small effort, like a tiny drop in an ocean, and with just one aim: improve the awareness to silent people who experience mental health challenges alone. And today, as part of this TGV Mental Wellness series, we are going to cover topic number 4, which is about anxiety plus ADHD. And before we get started, let me welcome you all. You have tuned into TGV and hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series where we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. And folks, we want to simplify and amplify your journey to success. I'm your host, Naveen Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place by bringing you wisdom through valuable discussions with experts designed to simplify and amplify your success. Dr. Sharada Rao, welcome back to TGV. And we are getting a lot of positive response for this series, and the way it is shaping up is amazing. And I'm super excited to cover the next topic today. And how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Naveen. I would like to welcome everyone, and I'm great to hear that everyone is able to relate to the series. The whole vision is to see that everyone acknowledges and sort of admits to the condition they have. There is no stigma. There is absolutely no shame in having a mental health challenge. And please remove that thought. That is the opening statement I want to begin with about being vulnerable, right? It's all about being human, being vulnerable.
It is okay to be not okay, and it is okay to be what we are, who we are, right? So that is
Well
my
said.
something. And yeah, thank you, Dr.
Well
Sharma.
said.
Let's begin our conversation today. So first we'll begin with the basics. What is this anxiety?
So anxiety is a normal human emotion. So everyone experiences anxiety at times. It is one of the experiences that we are born with, right? However, for people with anxiety disorders, it is excessive, like normal people will face anxiety when they hear that some dear one is ill and might pass away soon or something like that. They need a some reason for it, and it's human, and it's okay to express it. But for people with anxiety as a condition, it is persistent. The anxiety is always there, it is excessive, and it interferes with daily life, right?
Yeah.
So the most it is also in the spectrum. the most common mental health condition is anxiety. So it affects about 301 million people globally,
Oh my
and
God.
this number is as of 2019. Okay, so the statistic might have definitely, in my opinion, it would have doubled by now. I'm sure of it with all the things that are going on in the world. So there are several types of anxiety disorders. We talked about GAD in the last episode.
Right.
This is a persistent and excessive worrying about a variety of issues. Then they will not stop. They will worry continually.
Right.
And this typically, I'm hesitant to say, but it also works with stress, right? So if you have a lot of things to carry, as the stress naturally forms, so then it will end up in three manifestations. It's either a panic disorder, or it's a social anxiety situation, or it is a specific phobia.
Right.
So if it is panic, condition, these patients experience recurrent and unexpected panic attacks. So a panic attack will creep on a person silently. It can come
Right.
at any time, in an airport, in a conference room, at home, while you're bathing, while eating, anytime. You don't know. You can't predict. And this creates the most disturbance. A panic attack is like where a person s- typically goes into fetal position. They just want out of the world. They are like, crouched and unable to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so the counsel is to just take deep breaths, because you will deprive yourself of oxygen. So take deep breaths. Just listen to your breath for a while and admit all the good things that you can immediately remember, right? I have my mom in the room, or I have my friend in the room. I'm not alone, and I can just immediately call somebody on speed dial, like that, right? So these kind of things will usually calm down. And there are formal CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, modicums of addressing a panic attack.
Yeah.
A social anxiety disorder, on the other hand, is intense fear in social situations, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that is where you need to attend a wedding, and then you're like, from 1 week in advance, you're worrying about, oh my God, so many people have to handle this. So then you're preparing for the questions they might ask, or like various things. Specific phobias, which is like, you have a phobia about bugs. It's irrational fear, where you suddenly see a cockroach or a moth, and then you're like, oh, your day is gone. You're like, it's irrational, right? It's a bug. But and there are fear of forests, so people don't trek.
Mm-hmm.
There's fear of water, so they don't want to swim, like this, right? It, it's like I said, my favorite word, snowflake. Every person will have a specific phobia. So you cannot name everything. I'm just trying to give some examples. Symptoms of anxiety usually manifest with excessive worry, or excessive fear, or overthinking, excessive rumination. So these are the things. And it physically, if you are having a panic attack, sometimes it manifests as a rapid heartbeat, right? Third, 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 third. It's like really you feel like, oh my God, something is happening to my heart, right?
Yeah.
Or excessive sweating. You suddenly start to sweat in the presence of somebody, or at the thought of something. And then you're trembling, right? Your limbs are trembling. Then you know that you're having a panic attack. Please educate yourself and recognize how to manage a panic attack when it happens, because this can significantly impair daily functioning. It can impair relationships and how you deal with your work, or how you deal with your school, right? So it's complex. Sometimes it is genetic, sometimes it is environmental, sometimes it's psychological, and the main cause is stress and childhood trauma. This is the deepest thing. If you dig deeper and deeper and deeper, you'll suddenly see that it was related to your relationship with your dad, or your mother, or a sibling, some childhood trauma that you have not released,
Right.
right? And so certain medical conditions are manifested by invisible things, invisible reasons. And there is therapy, there is medication, and there are lifestyle changes by which a person can handle this. But unfortunately, the statistics is today, this is today's statistic. 1 out of 4 people suffer with anxiety disorders. So That is the reason for this podcast.
Wonderful. And Dr. Sharda will go to our next question. And this is more around how do this ADHD and anxiety interact?
Hmm. So they frequently co-occur, Naveen. Okay. So studies show that up to 50% of individuals with ADHD meet the criteria for anxiety disorder as well. And like we shared in episode 3, my last episode, there are a lot of questionnaire, right? Formal approved questionnaire that one can take to assess first at home and then take it to a physician and sit with the physician and see that if he is also able to come to the same way of how you have scored yourself. So there are formal ways in which you can diagnose that anxiety is coexisting with ADHD, right? Sometimes ADHD symptoms itself can lead to anxiety. A hyperactive person or impulsivity person cannot run a normal day because their ADHD is overtaking them for a portion, 30% of a day. If they are significantly distressed or impaired in daily functioning, right? So then what happens? Worry starts.
Yeah.
The moment they get worried, leads to nervousness. The moment they get nervous, it leads to the self-esteem as themselves as individuals, right? And once it comes to that stage, when you're saying, you know what, you're really not good at this. Like, why do you even try? Or something, that kind of inner voice starts, then it is time to take help. Please reach out,
Yeah.
call your immediate person, your person's slash person, and just say that I'm having an issue and I need help. And people will help, I'm
But
sure.
yeah, just sorry
And
to interrupt.
sometimes,
Sorry to interrupt, but in India, there is a lot of stigma, right? Whenever somebody has any sort of mental wellness issue, they don't open up. They think, okay, people might look at me awkwardly or whatever, right?
I think that is the stigma part, right?
Yeah.
I self admitted again, hashtag being vulnerable. I first noticed this 10 years ago
Oh, wow.
in how I was being hyperactive, and I did not know it. I would continuously being working all the time, and I thought it was being productive. And then it started to lead to me wanting that workaholism
Right.
at all times. So then a normal 8 day would not suffice. I would come home and then I would start doing an 8 hour shift of home. Like I would say, okay, I'm spending this many hours and I'm, having fun and relaxing with both the children, or, I'm taking the dog out for a run, or, it's like a lot of load which I was putting on myself. And then I didn't realize that impulsivity, that inattention, all were slowly grabbing me. And I did not understand. My daily functioning was, uh, you know, hyperactive. And
Right.
because of that, what happens is the anxiety just layers. Slowly it will start and then it layers. And what happens is your cognitive processes such as attention or concentration, focus, they are impaired. They are already impaired a little because you're either hyperactive or inattentive. But then when you combine it with worry, how much load you're giving the CPU, right?
Hmm.
You're just, your brain is overloaded. So then it can worsen anxiety, which again can worsen ADHD. So it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So comorbidities, they need more care. First, they need self admission. And like you said, a lot of people are afraid. Take the fear out, do it like math, take the questionnaire, see if it is affecting your daily functioning, like driving or like cooking, or see if you're having shivering fits, or you're having fear or worry, or you're thinking about future all the time. What if this happens, what if that happens, right?
Hmm.
Learn to first self acknowledge. And like I said, the statistics are millions, so
Yeah.
you can as well admit. And people are now at work, there are formal accommodations where people are admitting to this more and more, and literally having a conversation with their HR, and saying I need extra enablements, and they are called accommodations and they are being given that,
Yeah.
right? Either it is work from home, there are lesser hours, or they are given easier function. So once you admit to yourself, then you're first off you're so relieved, and secondly in turn somewhere the stigma goes, because everyone says, oh, this even I have, and then people
Yeah.
come, and then you join communities, and then you realize that there are people like me, right? When community happens, a lot of connection happens, and then you can deal with yourself. Me
Yeah.
as a leader did not have the courage. I was like, I have too much on my plate. I have to numbers have to be met, and a whole lot of things, right? So first off, even self admission was a huge step. And then when self admission started was when I had took a break. I said, I need to deal with this. And then I started. And then now I'm at a position where I'm able to give back because I've understood, I've gone through ways of how to deal with it, right? And then I'm able to, I want to take it forward and give back through this.
Yeah.
So there are so many subtypes of specific ADHD with anxiety. But I think there is a lot in the descriptions that people can understand the
Right.
comorbidity, anxiety situation, and disorders with ADHD.
Sure. I think you may have to give it a try in terms of publishing a book, or maybe you are already in the process of doing it. But so for those of you who are already watching or listening to this episode, you'll find tons of information in the show notes, all the references, plus questionnaires, and all that important stuff, which is going to educate us, all of us, on these mental wellness topics. And Sharda, let's move to the next question. And this is more about the gifted children, right? So, what challenges do gifted children with ADHD face?
Okay. Yes. This is called Twice Exceptional. And thank you so much for being kind and saying that I should write a book. That's such a beautiful idea. More power to that. Let's send light.
Yeah.
Mm, so the 2E condition or the twice exceptional condition, right? Um, these are gifted children. They are identified at childhood, and there is an interplay of their intellectual abilities with ADHD symptoms, which are often missed or misdiagnosed, right? But giftedness means they are highly intelligent, super energy, lot of impulsivity, and it looks similar to ADHD and could potentially be misdiagnosed. But it does not indicate that if a person is highly intelligent, that person is having ADHD. It's not, please don't equate it that way. There
Uh,
could be an overlap in the identification of true needs, which means that these truly gifted people, once they read something, they can remember it like that,
yeah.
right? It's like photographic memory. They are able to remember, they have high recall, they have fast performance, they have excessive energy to do a lot of things as children, right? Like you can make them have a trek and they will not even complain of tiredness, that kind of giftedness.
Wow.
So, and they start writing, you know, very well at a very young age.
Yeah.
And they're using beautiful language. And it's really amazing to have a gifted child. And at school, they are given tests to see if they can progress to the next grade because they are literally over demonstrating in their current grade, right? Their academic performance across subjects. And so then there are formal gifted children program tests that are conducted. And then they are diagnosed as gifted children. And there are gifted child programs where these children excel. They excel in areas that engage them,
Right.
but they struggle significantly with other areas, which a very, very discerning teacher or coach will notice, right? Things like how they're keeping their book bag, they are probably just stuffing things and they have like, they're not the other kind of children who are like, very nicely, neatly, they have their desk neat or their book bag is neat, and they might not have that, but they'll have excessive competence at quiz competitions or debates or like, race sport, right? Or even just empathy. They have a lot of empathy. They sense emotions in the room. They are like, they take care of the other children. Oh, I can teach you basketball. Come, let's play. And they'll spend hours trying to teach a person how to dribble and things like this, right?
Right.
So their social index also is high for gifted children. This is not to exclude a percentage of cases where there are social challenges that they have, which means they might have difficulty with peer relationships. Some
Right.
people will be very reticent. Um, they are often lost in their thoughts because they have very interesting thoughts. So it's like Narnia, right? They have a whole Narnia environment in their heads. And so they daydream and they are like, they don't make the effort to make friends or vice versa sometimes because the peer group does not understand the expressions,
Right.
and hence they are sometimes isolated, which is very very sad. They don't have childhood relationships, they are isolated. And because of their heightened empathy or sensitivity that I talked about, or the intense emotions that they experience, right? uh, they face social challenges further they complicate the interactions, so they generally become loners. And I think this definitely, I would say, needs at least a small booklet. And there are many, many resources. Even I don't need to write it. But, I think this is something I would encourage parents to work at. You
Right.
know, take them out for taekwondo or karate or like painting or art. The expression part has to be given further attention. Then
Right.
slowly everything releases, and they learn to deal with their giftedness, right? Then sometimes they need, if they are diagnosed, let's say, with ADHD, they have gone through the whole physician experience and they have been scored high on ADHD symptoms. So then what happens is, the physician knows that if a child is twice exceptional, they need educational strategy, a map that is uniquely customized for them to address the intellectual needs and to talk to the ADHD symptoms as well. So a traditional classroom setting might not provide a stimulation like this, right? For a different exponential child, they may just get bored with a regular classroom. And so, what a teacher typically does is they will formulate a separate rubric for gifted children, and they start slow, right? For once in a week or twice in a week, they're allowed to go and sit in the next grade, classroom, and they're given instructions to see if they are able to catch up, and if not, so there's a counselor. It's like a coach, right? In sport, like that. And the teacher is closely observing to notice if there is any discomfort in the next grade or behavior issues. And if there isn't, then there automatically it's a simple conversation to say that this child needs to be in the next grade.
Yeah.
So it's tailored educational programs that are required, and which help enormously in meeting the unique learning styles that 2E requires, right? So I think, did you have any other, I spoke a lot, any specific long-term things, like what do you want to learn more? I can talk about it.
So maybe you can emphasize on this long-term psychopathological risks associated with these children.
There are risks, right?
Yeah.
So let's admit that first. They're definitely gifted children will have a higher risk when they're undergoing hormonal changes, when they are getting young adults, right? Comorbidities will start to manifest at that stage, and typically it could be mood disorders, and it is noticed, but it might not be frequent. So it might occur once in a month or just twice in a month, where they're having a full-fledged tantrum, and you're like, oh, this is how teenagers, as a parent or as a teacher, right? Or it could be very, very frequent, very frequent outbursts, which is also very evident. But the silent killer depression is a different story,
Mhm.
right? Where they are in their room and you're assuming that, they are working because they like to work. They like to work not just at work, at other forms of hobbies, right? They are playing their guitar, or they are, writing, or they're playing games, right? So you don't notice this, but I would urge that this needs specific attention,
Yeah.
because a lot of moms or dads miss these symptoms where they are spending longer time with themselves, and that is manifesting as depression later on,
Right.
by which it's a little late in the day to engage in therapy. At the very beginning, if you notice it and you're like, okay, let's start yoga, or which today I think it's a part of curriculum. Every student is, at least in the Eastern countries, they are expected to perform yoga or somatic exercises or learn taekwondo or breathing, breath work, right? All this is taught in the curriculum itself at school. Especially in IB, let me mention. However, if it is not there, that is the point to intervene around 12 to 13 years, where they're just changing into young adults. That is the situation where you need to watch for these. And social, academic, family domains, they necessitate ongoing support and intervention at this age. Then the psychopathological risks are extremely minimized,
Yeah.
and they grow into well adjusted, gifted human beings.
Superb. Again, thank you so much for another enlightening session on mental wellness. And I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, Dr. Sharada Rao, and looking forward to many more topics in this series. And thank you so much once again.
Thanks very much, Naveen. It has been good. I really hope it has been useful. People, I am requesting everyone. There is huge population that experiences this and suffers in silence. No, silence is not an option. Please come out, and please, there is no stigma. There is no shame. This is
Right.
what I will say. So please take care of yourselves and lots of love.
Yeah. So one thing what I would like to add is it is you who is undergoing through something. We don't have to care about what others think because it is our life and we have to own it. That is my 2 cents.
Absolutely. And most important, I would say, I mean, always you come up with the, best way to empathize. I love your energy that way. I would say, double click to that statement.
Definitely. All right. So thank you so much again. And friends, that was our episode for today and part 4 of TGV Mental Wellness series with Dr. Sharda Rao. And stay tuned for many more topics in this series. And before we wind up, we have a quick request for you. In case if you have enjoyed this conversation and found it helpful or useful, please share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who would also like TGV, the guiding voice. So spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and also for being part of our awesome TGV family. So we'd love to hear from you. So do not hesitate to share your ideas and feedback either through our social media or you can also email us at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com for as in digit 4 and you as in letter U. Let's create content that resonates with you. I'm your host Naveen Samala, a lifelong learner, and my goal is to have impactful conversations that simplify and amplify your life's success. So until next time, take care, stay inspired, and remember the best is yet to come. Goodbye for now. See you all in the next episode with another amazing guest. Take care, guys.
Loads of love.
Roots of
Thank
love.
you.
Thank you.